Right, here's our second video in section 4.6 on special products, multiplying polynomials. Again, it's nice that we're really just doing the same thing that we've been doing. But look at example number 3 now. Example number 3, we're still multiplying, right? Our parentheses are still right next to each other, and we're still multiplying two binomials, but these examples look just a little bit different than the examples that we've done so far. What do you notice about both of these examples, example number 3A and B? Well, I notice that they both have the same exact terms, but one of them is positive and one of them is negative, right? They're called conjugates of each other. What happens when we multiply conjugates together? Well, let's see. Whatever method you choose, if I were to FOIL or distribute or use the box method, I ended up getting an x squared, a negative 4x, a positive 4x, and a negative 16. So look what happens when I go to combine my like terms. If I have a negative 4x and a positive 4x, don't they zero out? They cancel out, and so really I just end up with an x squared minus 16. Look what happens in B. When I FOIL or box or distribute, I end up getting 25 minus 10w plus 10w minus 4w squared. And again, look what happens with my like terms. Don't they cancel each other out, zero each other out? And so then I ended up with a 25 minus 4w squared. Or you can write it negative 4w squared plus 25. Either way, if you're writing it in standard form, you can do it like that. But do you notice that anytime I'm multiplying conjugates together, that the middle term always cancels? That happens when the terms are exactly the same, but you have opposite signs in the middle. They call it kind of a special product here. Another special product that we're going to look at right now, look at example number 4 with me. These binomials look like they're squared. Now we've got to be careful. When we had a monomial, we were able to take that little square and square everything inside the parentheses. But because there's a plus or minus sign separating my terms, you cannot distribute that squared through. Think about what a squared means. If I said, what is 3 squared? What it really means is 3 times 3, right? Or if I said 5 squared, it would really mean 5 times 5. So when I say x plus 3 squared, it really means that I have an x plus 3 times another x plus 3. And then I have to make sure that I distribute every term in the first parenthesis to every term in the second parenthesis. When I do that, I end up getting, after combining like terms, an x squared plus 6x plus 9. It's really important that you write it out twice and distribute or FOIL so you can get the correct answer. It would not be the correct answer if you tried to distribute this 2 through and say that your answer was x squared plus 3 squared or x squared plus 9. Not the correct answer, okay? So be careful. Anytime there's a plus or minus sign separating your terms and you're squaring, you have to make sure that you write it out twice and FOIL. Look at B. If I have an a minus 7 squared, there's a plus or minus sign separating my terms, so I have to make sure that I take this a minus 7 and multiply it by another a minus 7. I'm going to distribute or FOIL, and I'm going to combine my like terms. Your final answer should be a squared minus 14a plus 49. Make sure not to distribute the squared through, but to write it out twice and FOIL. Okay? Why don't you practice a few? I've given you a couple of different practice problems here. There's actually, 6 of them. Why don't you pause the video, practice with these few problems. I'll post the answers here in a second to make sure that you got the same thing I did before we look at some more problems. All right, it looks like all of these are multiply. I have parentheses next to each other, parentheses next to each other, parentheses next to each other. Ooh, this is a monomial that needs to be distributed. Parentheses next to each other. And then be careful. Remember, this one is an x minus 4 squared. That means an x minus 4 times another x minus 4. Let's see if you got the same answers I did. On the first one, I have a conjugate, right? They're opposite signs. My middle terms cancel, and I ended up with an x squared minus 9. On this one, after FOILing or distributing and combining like terms, I got a t squared plus 2t minus 35. On number 3, they're not opposite signs, so be careful with that. After distributing or foiling, combining like terms, you should get an x squared plus 14x plus 49. On number 4, after distributing that 2x cubed, you remember when you multiply, you really add the exponents, you should get an 18x to the 5th plus 2x to the 4th minus 14x cubed. No like terms, so that would be your final answer. All right, look at number 5. On number 5, you're distributing the p through everything in the second set of parentheses and the 3 to everything in the second set of parentheses, and then combining like terms. Did you get p cubed plus 5p squared plus 5p minus 3? Hopefully. All right, again, on number 6, be careful. When I see that squared there, but I see this plus or minus sign separating, I know that I have an x minus 4 times another x minus 4, and I've got to FOIL or distribute. After combining like terms, you should end up getting an x squared minus 8x plus 16. Hopefully, you've got all of those right and you're ready to move on or try some other ones. If you need more practice, here's 4 more practice problems, try it problems. You can pause the video, try these, and check your answers if you need some more practice. All right, those are my answers for these 4 try it problems. Hopefully you got the same answers as I did. On number 2, you could either write it in standard form or when you FOIL out or distribute, it might look like this with the 1 minus 25t to the 6th. Either one of those answers are acceptable as long as your 25 is negative and as long as your 1 is positive. I would accept either one of those answers. Hopefully all your other answers, though, match mine, and you are good to move on to our next idea.